From across Maryland, Virginia, and the District, this is Washington's 24-hour local news leader. News Channel 8's Live This Morning starts right now.
Back in 19 minutes now before 11 o'clock, if a young person commits a crime and then is released back into society, how can the state and federal governments best protect the community from ex-offenders re-offending? David Cook knows all this story too well. His journey began 24 years ago, at 24 years of age, I should say, after having been released on parole from both state and federal prison sentences. David has certainly turned his life around, and he is our guest right now. It's good to have you here, Dave.
Thanks for having me,
Thanks
Dave.
for joining us. This has become something of, I don't want to say an obsession for you, but it is something that does consume a great deal amount of your time and energy. You are also a very successful businessman and have done very nicely for yourself coming out of this. But all too often, your story is the exception rather than the rule for someone in your position. Wouldn't you agree?
You know, statistically, the recidivism rate, the people that come out and go back, is about 70%, which means there's about 30% that do get out and stay out.
And by saying that, I think you have probably caused a lot of people to go, man, I had no idea it was that high.
I think that a lot of people, you know, I never even looked at counseling or writing a book. That was never a part of my career plan until about 2003, when I read an article about people having difficulty, and I looked. That's the first time I looked back, and it was 25 years at that point. And I thought, what is the difficulty? It's a matter of believing that you can do it. There's not a lot of difference between somebody coming out of prison and somebody graduating from college. They both have a mountain in front of them. Mm-hmm. You have to choose whether or not you want to climb that mountain or not. And I went into aviation, and after I was out, went to school, worked, and got all of my ratings and certificates, and spent a long career as an airline transport pilot, and then started businesses, which grew very successfully. And now it's a passion, going into the jails, going into the prisons.
What's the response when you go in? Because a lot of those young people that you see know all too well the pressures when they get out, that the path is almost a circular one, and it's going to bring them back in again.
Well, again, it's a choice. It's a choice that they make, and the response that I get is incredibly positive. I spent a couple of days in the county jail here speaking to the various pods of inmates, and many of them didn't know that you could, in fact, get out and stay out. They feel that because you have a felony conviction, your life is over. And what I emphasize is I'm the evidence that it is not. You just simply have to make a choice, a decision, and you can't quit. You have to stick with that decision no matter how hard it gets, just like yourself. You didn't just graduate from college and wind up in this chair. You had to climb the mountain. It's like anybody else.
Where do we start as a society in paying more attention to this? Because there are so many issues out there today, and sometimes this is just another one that sort of washes over a lot of people. Yeah, gee, we should be doing something about that. But give me an action plan here. Where should we start?
Well, let's create a motivation. There's a great economic case. Our budget annually, there's 2.3 million people in prison, and our annual budget nationally is over $1 trillion per year to keep people housed in prison. And if 70% is a recidivism rate, that means roughly somewhere between 50 and 70% of that $1 trillion could be saved by simply investing in giving these people the ability to re-enter. As a society, we have a tendency to vilify people because they have a felony conviction. And a lot of that is perhaps because of sensationalized movies and things like that, and they're all lumped in the same category. These are just people, like you and me. They're, or at least like you. I am a convicted felon. But these are just people who have dreams and ambitions. All they want is a chance. They just simply want an honest chance.
Dave's written a book called Slaying the Dragon. It's the journey from the dungeon to the ivory tower, and it is a lot about the journey that he's made and the one that he is advocating for so many other people. If you would like more information, go to dcook, K-O-C-H, for more information. Dave, thanks so much.
Thank you, Dave.
Good luck.
Appreciate
this is
it.
a wonderful thing that you are doing for people out there, and we appreciate your joining us.